So we'll start with Terry Milewski.
Thank you. I have a question for the two opposition parties, Mr. Ray and Mr. Saganash, and that is the extent to which you didn't get into specifics on the declaration. I'm wondering why that is. I'm wondering how committed you are to it, and whether you think it's really useful to make demands, if indeed you are making those demands, which appear unworkable, to put it kindly. I mean, what is the point of asking, for example, that the Governor General must be involved in discussions over which he has no authority, which is basically irrelevant? What is the point in asking the federal government to somehow magically wave a magic wand and impose revenue sharing on provinces which own the resources? What is the point in asking, as the declaration does, for First Nations veto, consent to federal legislation? These things don't seem realistic. Do you really support them?
I do, and I think your questions reveal, frankly, a certain lack of understanding of the nature of the Canadian Constitution and also the realities today. I think Mr. Saganash made a very good example, and Mr. Prentice in his recent speeches about the pipeline said the same thing. He referred to clause number 8, which talks about the fact that there needs to be informed consent dealing with legislation that directly affects inherent and treaty rights. That is the law today, Terry. That's not unrealistic. That is the law of Canada. Do you think that the government of Quebec would have been able to develop hydro in northern Quebec without the prior approval and without a treaty? Why do you think they negotiated? Why do you think it took a year to get it done? It got it done because it had to be done. There had to be an understanding. There had to be that level of consent and understanding. And by the way, that's the law of Canada, as it has been expressed and interpreted by the Supreme Court of Canada. The relationship between the Crown, and this is the 250th anniversary of the Royal Proclamation, which Elder Robinson referred to. The relationship between the Crown and the First Nations people and the Inuit people of Canada, Métis people of Canada, predates Confederation. So there should be no surprise that there's an importance attached to the Governor General playing an important symbolic and role in terms of being present and aware of discussions as they go on. No one's suggesting for a moment that the Government of Canada is not the Government of Canada. But I think it betrays, frankly, a little lack of understanding of the relationship between the Crown and First Nations to suggest that it's of no symbolic importance. The point that I think we wanted to make in the Declaration of Commitment is that these are things that are going to take time. These are things that are going to require work. But the issue, for example, of revenue sharing and how that relates to the provinces is obviously something that we all have to discuss. Because there is a very profound sense, certainly, for example, in Northern Ontario, with a situation with which I'm very familiar, I know Charlie Angus is familiar with it, where there are real issues now around how we're going to be able to proceed with major resource development without the involvement and participation of the Aboriginal people and without recognizing the rights that are there. Same thing is true with respect to developments in northern Manitoba and in northern parts of every province of Saskatchewan. These are issues that are very real and live today. So you may have your own personal editorial view with respect to this declaration, but it is an absolutely realistic assessment of the steps that need to be taken in our lifetime if we are, in fact, going to achieve the reconciliation of which I've previously spoken.
I got something you said there, that you said that the natural resources are the exclusive right to the province. I don't remember the federal government coming to my territory, to my lands, to ask me if I was in agreement to transfer all the natural resources to the provinces. They never came to my territory. They never asked my chiefs. Didn't get my blessings to transfer the natural resources back in 1930 to the provincial territory. So we just want our share with respect to the extraction and whatever the development is with respect to natural resources. If we get our share, we wouldn't be sitting where we're sitting right now.
Any follow-up, Karen?
No.